Well, I'm here with Turkish, and this interview could get rather interesting. We've just seen Arsenal go out of the Carabao Cup, beaten 2-0 by Newcastle, quite miserable. Now, Turkish, me and you was at the corresponding game, the first leg when we got beat 2-0, and we were saying, well, I was saying that it couldn't get any worse, that game, but today perhaps did.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the damage was done in the first leg. You know, everything leading up to this game was all hope and prayer and copium and whatever it was. And yes, Newcastle did come into the game in very different form, and were coming into the game off the back of a 5-1 win against Man City, but very different circumstances. City are a team that are just, lacking any fight and belief at this moment in a transition period, whereas Newcastle are a team that have built well over the last few years, have reached a final. They didn't manage to get over the line. They've got quality in abundance throughout the pitch, and at the end of the day, that shone today, because both mentally, physically, and technically, they were better than us today. They done what they needed to do, and listen, it's not a surprise that we're out, but to go out in that fashion, no fight, to be bullied in the fashion we did get bullied in, it doesn't sit well with me. I can't lie to you. And on top of that, we've got another injury in attack. So yeah, not just anybody, right? Okay.
No, it was a poor night, man. A chase and experience is what I described it as, and you are so right in terms of there was a palpable lack of fight today. In fact, just from the minute one, we just got off to a poor start. There were several unforced errors. Some of our better players, notably William Saliba, who incidentally I'm a big fan of, but I've got to say today he kind of epitomised how bad we were. I'm struggling to come up with a suitable explanation as to why, though. What do you think that might have been?
Why Saliba, or why?
No, the whole team. I mean, I've kind of aired out Saliba, which perhaps I shouldn't do, but he was the one that a lot of people was homing in on because he's normally so good, but he was bad. But several players today were just off it. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, Saliba was the most terrible of the bunch today, but it's not often we say that. I'm not going to make excuses for him, but great players have bad games, poor games. I look around and wonder where some of the other players who rarely have games that live up to the standard that Saliba has set over the years, where were they? I look at Odegaard's first chance, the chance before the chance, where it was a neat little 1-2, he gets into the box and all you got to do is stroke home a player with his technical ability. You expect him to find the spot. He draws it safe, tries to get on target, gets blocked, comes back to him in an even better position. You got to bury that. At 0-0, you got to bury that. The first goal was so important today, and off the back of that, they go the other end, and Isak does what he does. And it wasn't the first one with Isak. We got away with the offside, millimetres. Great run, great finish. And that's an indication of what a real striker is, a real gunman is, a real 9 is. We must have forgot what a real 9 is, because I don't know how we make excuses for the position our not just striking department is in, but the attacking department overall. But when you have Saka out and your highest paid player is the one up top, you are looking at him a bit as well. And again, I've mentioned Odegaard, I've said Saliba was terrible. Havertz, non-existent again. And it's not good enough. He was getting rattled. He was, 10 more minutes in that game. He might have been sent off because they were trying to get under his skin. And that's where we got bullied. Miles Lewis-Skelly, listen, he done what he done. I love it. All the nonsense from Gary Neville, the nonsense from this Tony Scholes FA guy or whatever, Premier League guy, nonsense. That is something that's gone missing in football and needs to be back in football. That shithousery, love it. But you've opened yourself up now to other teams trying to take advantage of maybe the emotion, maybe the naivety. And credit to Miles, because he didn't fall for it. Last couple of minutes, he makes a rash tackle, gets a yellow card, but essentially throughout the game, Trippier was trying to get at him, a couple of Newcastle players too. He didn't, fall for it. Could easily have done. And overall, I mean, any other players we need to mention that had poor games? I mean,
there were so many.
There were so many. It's the teenagers that come out with any credit. And this goes to the David Ornsteins and the Charles Watts and the Fabrizio Romanos, to these little other Twitter dickheads that just build a 50k, 100k following and want to play and toy with fans' emotions. Like, is that what a fan is meant to do as well? No,
I'm with you. I've always said, listen, man, part of a good fan's makeup or psyche is to call the club to account when they see fit. And I think you have done that every occasion possible. And I applaud you for that. But you're right. The transfer window was a disappointment. I think me and you were at slight odds during the game, because I was saying that, yes, it's one thing to criticise the club for the lack of business in the transfer window. I absolutely get that. However, I don't think that can be excused for what we saw tonight.
But, Laurie, it's the third time Newcastle have done this to us this season. So it's not a surprise what happened today. What happened today for me, and the problem with it is, off the back of beating Man City 5-1, we've got a renewed sense of belief and a bit of, more hope there, because wow, what a performance, what a result. That all still stands. Then you go deadline day, you don't do anything, while other clubs around are doing things, one of which is down the road that brought in a loan that has no impact on any future right profiles or right fucking characters, right? So there's no excuses for this January. This game here is an eye-opener to what to expect for the rest of the season. We'll still win the majority of games, but there's going to be performances like this again. Kroenkes have flew in twice. Oh, big news, Bit after the FA Cup loss to Man United, the next news was Josh Kroenke's flown to London, and the news after that is Zubimendi signed, or is going to sign in the summer. And then everything quietens down again. And then the next 2 weeks, Arteta's pleading in the interviews. He's saying we need something. But then the transfer window closes, and Arteta's cool with it. Yeah, and now everything's meant to be rosy, when we know if anyone that looks at me and says, oh, you still got to believe, right? I ask you where that belief comes from at this moment in time, because I don't have that same bucket you're picking it out from, or I don't have that same view that you're seeing, because I don't understand how, with the squad we've got and what Arteta said, end of December will light, and everyone knew that. The last 2 weeks of January saying we need another attacker. That's our manager saying that. On top of that, we've had another attacker go down today. How can people believe that we're going to do what we need to do, should be doing now, which is getting over the line in majors? We've only got 2 left. Premier League, we're far behind. In Champions League, come on, you're having a laugh.
So realistically, what do you expect to see now till the end of the season, realistically?
From the team? Or
yeah, from the team.
This is me. I'm just a fan that's been affected over the last 20 years by what this club have done or have not done, right? The players should still believe. They should still think there's something to play for. They should still fight. But it's a whisker away now. One more game we drop points and Liverpool do what they've been doing majority of the season, we're out of it. Completely. Done. As much as I think it's already done, the players can't think that. Because we've seen bigger scalps in football before. I've mentioned 97, 98, 13 points behind United. I've mentioned City's first title when they was 8 points behind with 6 games to go. Or us when we was top for 200 days. We've seen things turn around when it looked like it was all gone. Might happen, but the reality is, have the club put us in a position for that to happen, for us to believe that's going to happen? When you're looking at Salah down the road, who's having an Henry-like season. Let's not beat around the bush here. In terms of a player, doesn't come close to Thierry from me. Maybe that's my bias. But in terms of a season, I'm looking at Liverpool-Bournemouth. I'm seeing Clive miss a chance, and I'm seeing Salah go to the other end and just bend it in. That's what Henry used to do. You look at a player and think that guy's he's gonna win us this game today before ball's even kicked. We don't have anyone like that in attack. We make excuses and talk about space invading and aerial duel winning and wacka all the time. Like, come on, that stuff now. The club need to know what they need to do this summer, and I feel sick talking about this summer. So I'm even going to stop myself there, because there's still a lot to be held accountable for until this summer. And we'll see how that goes. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. And I hope you can laugh at me come end of the season. Yeah? But I don't think that's going to be the case, like it wasn't the case for the last 21.
Okay, Turkish, thank you very much. Honest and forthright as always. Cheers.